what completely changed your opinion of your dad? I came home from prom to discover my dad had destroyed my life. I'd gotten into my dream college on a full-ride volleyball scholarship, but while I was gone, my dad emailed them from my account with a false confession that I'd cheated on my SATs. It's over, he said. Your acceptance was withdrawn. I threw my corsage at his face and screamed that I'd worked my entire life for this scholarship. 4 hours of practice every day since I was 12 years old. I grabbed his laptop and slammed it against the granite countertop, pieces of keyboard keys scattering across the floor like broken teeth. I told him I hated him and would never forgive him. How could he drive me to every tournament and pretend to be proud when the scout offered me that scholarship if he was just going to destroy it all? But then my dad looked up. Coach Walker has assaulted at least 6 girls and the school protects him. He then pulled out a folder from under his placemat. Inside were Facebook messages from a woman whose daughter Elena played for Walker 8 years ago, describing how her daughter disappeared on a recruiting trip and was found unconscious in Walker's hotel room with her clothes torn. The school paid the family $200,000 to stay quiet and threatened to destroy them with lawsuits if they ever talked about what happened. The woman included photos of Elena before and after that night, showing a vibrant athlete transformed into someone who couldn't leave her house without panic attacks. Another girl named Sophie took her life sophomore year after Walker put his hands on her repeatedly during private training sessions, leaving a detailed note about the abuse that the school claimed was about academic pressure. Her parents tried to sue, but the university buried them in legal fees until they had to drop the case and move states. The most recent girl, Maria, went missing 2 months ago after telling her roommate Walker wouldn't stop texting her at 3 in the morning, asking her to come to his office. This mother contacted me because she saw Walker had recruited you, and she couldn't let it happen again, he explained, showing me her messages begging him to save me from becoming another statistic. She'd tried warning other families, but the university's lawyers sent cease and desist letters threatening bankruptcy because Walker brings in $40 million in alumni donations and 3 national championships. My dad had spent weeks verifying everything through private investigators who found hospital records and police reports that mysteriously disappeared from official databases. He even found 2 current players who privately confirmed Walker was still hurting girls during away games when parents weren't around, but they were too scared to come forward because their scholarships would vanish, and no other school would touch them after Walker destroyed their reputations. I knew you'd think you could handle him, or that I was being overprotective, he said, as I read through the evidence with tears streaming down my face. I saw photos of girls who looked just like me, all between 17 and 19, all with my same build and blonde hair, including one holding the same scholarship offer letter I'd framed above my desk, now missing for 14 months. The tracking data showed Walker had already texted me from a burner phone asking about private training sessions at his apartment, messages I thought meant he believed in my potential, but were actually the same grooming pattern he'd used with every victim. I collapsed into my father's arms, sobbing and apologizing for the horrible things I'd said, because now I understood he'd destroyed his relationship with me to keep me alive. He held me while I shook, whispering that he'd rather have me hate him forever than identify my body in some hotel room or get a call that I jumped off a dormitory building. We sat there while I read more messages from mothers whose daughters had been recruited by Walker, all describing the same pattern of special attention during recruiting, then isolation from teammates, then late-night training sessions where he'd put his hands on them, then threats about losing their scholarships if they told anyone. My dad explained he'd tried everything else first, including anonymous reports to the NCAA, who said they needed proof, hiring a lawyer who said we'd need other victims to come forward publicly, and even reaching out to journalists who told him the university had already threatened their outlets with defamation lawsuits worth millions. The university's legal team was too powerful, and Walker was too protected by championship banners and donation dollars, meaning the only way to save me was to make sure I never set foot on that campus where Walker had master keys to the